Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first Everton Heritage Show, brought to you by members of the official Everton FC Heritage Society. My name's Royden, and you're joining me here in the brand new Everton Heritage Centre, which has replaced the old St Luke's, as people will remember us upstairs on the corner of Gladys Street and Goodison Road, the old exhibition centre. That used to be upstairs on a match day. We have moved down to the new Bramley Moor dock area, the Hill Dickinson Stadium, as we should say now. It's just towering above us, right next door. We're in the building that also houses the Blue House Beer Hall. They're just downstairs, so if you can hear people having some fun over a drink, that's just downstairs. As it is a new era for Everton Football Club, what better time to start a new channel and a new show all about the Toffees. So to give you a little idea about what you can expect from us, we know all too well that there's the podcast at 10 a penny. Football podcasts are everywhere these days, but we want to make an effort to stand out from the rest and do something a little bit different and do something that other people don't really do. So we'll be aiming to create evergreen podcasts that'll never be out of date by next week's fixture. We'll be telling tales that can be appreciated for many, many years to come as you browse through the back catalogue, hopefully, in future. So every home game we're going to be meeting here in our new venue, which is open to the public, and we'll be discussing the facts and the stories and the historic tales that have made us such an iconic club. Looking back on a history that we are all so very proud to sing about. There's so many Evertonians in all corners of the globe, and we want to give everybody a taste into life here on a match day and hopefully interact with all sorts of blues everywhere as we go. So make sure you do come along and check it out, and maybe you'll get a chance to have a chat with us. Who knows? I want to hear your stories as well. Members of the Heritage Society are responsible for a phenomenal amount of articles, books and deep research into our life at Goodison Park, and long before that too, continuously detailing our unique journey that began as St Domingo's back in 1878. So we'll be speaking to the experts, the fans, and plenty of very special guests over the course of this season, and hopefully long into the future as well. Our doors are on Fulton Street, around the back of the Blue House Beer Hall, just literally in the shadow of the stadium, and we'll be open for you to come and check out all this treasure trove of memorabilia that we've got upstairs. There's so many shirts, books, programmes, all sorts, you name it, it's up here. And hopefully we'll, with a bit of luck, we'll be able to get some meet and greets going on, and maybe some book signings as well with people who are releasing some of their latest work. The idea here is to remind ourselves who we are and where we came from, to teach new generations how we made ourselves giants and why we're right to show ambitions at the very top of English football. And if we're going to passionately sing, if you know your history, it's probably best that we can back it up as well. So this week, I'm accompanied by Chairman of the Heritage Society and former Chief Sports Editor of the Liverpool Echo, Mr. Ken Rogers, and prolific author and historian Rob Sawyer, to give you a background on the Society's work, who we are, and to tell the story of one Bobby Parker, a wartime Everton player whose gravestone is due to be restored to benefit all of his glories. Usually we'll be focused on the past, but as it's something of a historic weekend in itself, we're going to be reflecting on our new beginnings at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and delving a little bit into the stories of Everton Women too, as they of course take their first strides in their new home of Goodison Park. So without further ado, welcome everybody to the Everton Heritage Show.
Marching down the Goodison Road,
one of Britain's greatest footballers.
Sharp, what a fantastic goal! And the Evertonians have gone berserk.
One Evertonian is worth 20 Liverpudlians.
Oh, it's great stuff by Everton.
Heritage.
Right, okay, welcome ladies and gentlemen to the very first episode of the Everton Heritage Show, brought to you by members of the official Everton FC Heritage Society. My name's Royden, and you join me here in the new St Luke's, and to my left, prestigious members, prolific members, Mr. Ken Rogers and Rob Sawyer. Now, Ken, do you want to give us a little insight into your background before you became chairman of Everton Heritage Society? Give an idea of where you
before
were.
I became chairman of Everton Heritage Society, I was actually born an Evertonian. So that's where it all started for me, the Everton dream.
I think we all have that in common.
Yeah, I lived not too far. I lived in Everton, brought up in Everton, and on match days I could hear that roar of the crowd in the distance and sort of inviting me to Goodison Park. Later on, I sort of fulfilled sort of every Evertonian's dream in a way. I became sort of one of the chief soccer writers of the Liverpool Echo, and I know you're not going to tell anybody, people watching, but I used to cover Liverpool for a month and then cover Everton for a month.
I think we'll forgive you. Were you biased?
Absolutely not, but it is nice to have an Evertonian sports editor of the Liverpool Echo, and that's what I ultimately became.
Great stuff. And Rob, I know your family ties go back generations as well,
I
don't
think
they?
I'm fourth generation Evertonian. My great-granddad worked at the club, was a director in the 1920s, so I was brought up on sort of tales of him being there in the corridors of power of Goodison in the sort of Dixie Dean era. So even though I grew up probably about 40 miles away from here, there was never any doubt which team I'd be supporting. And I've always had a interest in the history of the club. I had a load of programmes that my dad had passed down to me, so I read those avidly as a kid. And I think that got me into starting to write about the history of the club, originally for Toffee Web, and then I started to get into writing books, very much like Ken as well, another author here, and that led me about 12 years ago into the Heritage Society.
I think, Lewis, one of the proudest things they ever did was to research and write the official centenary history of Goodison Park.
Of course,
So
yeah,
for months on
fantastic.
end, I had hundreds and hundreds of photographs from the Echo archives on my desk at home, and it was a wonderful thing. The book would ultimately be reprinted 3 times, so clearly the Evertonians love their heritage and their history.
Great stuff. I know all your books are fantastic. I've grown up reading your books, and it's a joy to be involved to be involved with you guys, because I don't know, it's like a little child growing up, isn't it? And you're like sitting next to the people who you've been reading. I love your stories.
Well, that's the great thing about being in the Heritage Society. I think between the members, is it in the region of about 100 books that have been produced?
Yeah, I believe
by,
so, over
various
100.
authors in the society.
How many have you got? How many have you done?
Oh, I've written 13 books.
13?
Including one with Howard Kendall. I once sat with Howard Kendall out in Birkdale in an Italian restaurant. I sat with him every day for about 3 weeks, and he went through every single one of his players in the 1980s with a personal comment about them. And that was called Everton's Z-Stars. So I quite like the title of the book.
Okay, I admit that's one I've not heard of. I'll have to dig that one out later. Maybe we'll find it in the archives over here.
What a great experience! What a great.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you corrected me on 13 there, because I was about to say 6. What about you? You're 6,
I think
aren't
I'm
you?
lagging behind. I think Ken had a head start on me, but I'm trying to catch up. In fact, shameless plug, I think I've got one coming out later this year about Peter Farrell, one of the great sort of Everton captains.
I didn't realise that. I was focusing on you've got one out at the moment, haven't you? On T.G. Jones.
I did one about T.G. Jones, obviously now better associated with a leading brand of newsagent, but of course T.G. Jones was
not that one.
Also one of the great centre halves for Everton. But Peter Farrell is what I've
Which
been
isn't
working on
connected.
recently.
Let's make that clear. No connection whatsoever.
Although ironically, T.G. Jones did run a newsagent in later life, so if he was still alive, he'd probably be speaking to us. But
where was the newsagent? North Wales, wasn't it?
Bangor, North
Bangor.
Wales.
Yeah.
And Peter Farrell, great player for us, Rob, in the 1950s.
Yeah, parallels with Seamus Coleman, an Irish great leader, sometimes in tough times for the club, but led by example, one of the great captains, certainly.
I think before we go off on mad tangents, we could do it all day here, couldn't we? Just go down every single rabbit hole of every book. I was going to say we've written then, that you've written. I'm not quite on that level. But we are, going back to the Heritage Society, of course. What I think a lot of people ask me is what is a Heritage Society, and why does a football club need one?
Well, we are the official Everton FC Heritage Society. Other clubs might have heritage societies, but we are the official one. And we're there to ensure that all the facts that go in the programmes and in the books that they produce, all the facts are absolutely correct. There's nothing worse than, on the day you get a new book and you pick it up for the first time, you're looking to, and there's some blunder on a fact there. So that's one of the things we do. And we look to the fans as well to sort of lead us down that track as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if it goes back to 2008, and it was the brainchild of David Prentice, of course,
Yes.
the famous Everton historian and collector. And as you say, Ken, I think it was about trying to make sure that we preserve the history of the club, research it so that the real correct factual story is shared with people, because there are so many myths and inaccuracies that get passed down from book to book. So we've been, I think, trying to make sure that we research thoroughly and tell it in a way that's attractive, not just to maybe our generation, your generation, Lewis, but the next generation of Evertonians coming through, because we're talking heritage, but we also want it to be, the future of our club, youngsters coming through, learning about the great history, and then hopefully them becoming Heritage Society members.
I think the one important thing to say, Lewis, is that we are not a fan club. We're not a fan club, we're a Heritage Society. So we're not here to say sack the manager, so-and-so must come in into the team, the tactics are wrong. That's not what we do. We are history and heritage. And the good thing is that, history and heritage is at the very heart of our club. Isn't it? With all our battle hymns we say leading into every home game, it's all part of that.
Every player that ever signs, it's the line they roll out, isn't it? It's what a great club we're signing for, the history of this place and the players that have come before them, and it's on the forefront of everybody's minds, isn't it?
I think what the Heritage Society does, it's a diverse range of things. So yes, we've got authors, we've got people who like to do research, but it's a broad church. As a
to be honest, that was going to be my next question in terms of you've segued that magnificently there. You knew what you were doing there. You've done this before. Obviously, a lot of fans will know the Heritage Society from our now former home on the corner of Goodison Road and the Gladys Street, which was St Luke's Church, and upstairs in there where we've for many years since 2008, I believe, had the memorabilia exhibition where people can come along and take a look at some items and shirts, books, all sorts of publications, it's a treasure trove, isn't it, in that place. And of course, the reason we mention it, as you say, great segue, is that we're now in what we're calling the EFC Heritage Centre down in the shadow of the Hill Dickinson Stadium. So we're moving into that new era.
Directly facing the stadium.
Absolutely,
facing the tower in the stadium. So
that's it.
It's a great thing. So to be a member of the Heritage Society, we can't have 20,000 members. But so we're a very sort of tight group in a way. But it's people who collect merchandise, as Rob said, authors, statisticians, researchers. So you have to have something. You have to bring something to the table to join the Everton FC Heritage Society.
Yeah, and it's by invite only as well, isn't it? It is, as you say, bringing something to the table and furthering the output and donating your knowledge and expertise and experience. As best you can, and of course, as we say, to stay on topic with the room itself, we'll miss, of course, with this being a bit of a soft launch. We're very much in the early days of our society, of our podcast, I should say. As we look around here, it's not on camera, but it's a little rough around the edges. We're soft launching today.
Day one,
very much day one. This is it. We've got a long future ahead of us. Soon we'll have a floor, I've heard, which is should be a good start.
A floor you can walk on.
The only way's up from there,
Hopefully not down, so yes.
Yeah, exactly. Whole new era, isn't it? So we can be very positive about the future there. But of course, there's as you say, there's more to this in terms of we're not just the collectors that people will see on a match day. There's so much more behind the scenes. Of course, there's an extensive website that has so much information on it that people are constantly updating and providing for almost on a daily basis. I've got a little list here in terms of the other kind of work that members are responsible for, and you've mentioned already the research and the fact checking, and of course the publications. The remembrance services every year to remember those who've fallen and the club have lost at war. Not just players as well, but people related to the club, whether they're staff or fans, and that includes, of course, the players of Everton Chile.
We've been doing those right in front of the Dixie Dean statue at Goodison Park, and And it's been a wonderful, it's been quite an emotional thing, really.
Yeah.
And we've been doing a lot of research on the players who have been involved in war situations, Rob.
That's right. I mean, there was a booklet produced by some of our members a few years ago about the fallen of Everton, not just the Liverpool Everton, but also our sort of sister clubs like in New Zealand as well. And then actually the organisation, Paul Kelly, one of our members, takes a lot of credit every year for pulling together the event. Also Henry Corbett, who's also
chaplain.
Priest, our chaplain.
He's now the official club chaplain,
of course,
Henry Corbett.
Yeah.
So
a number of people supporting Paul in that, and I'm sure we'll be doing it again this November.
We will.
So it's great that we sort of recognise the sacrifices made by people connected to the club.
A little bit deeper into it, we've got retrospective medal presentations as well, of course. There's a few players that that under today's rules would have received medals for their achievements in the past, like league titles, cup winning, and they didn't receive them at the time because perhaps they hadn't. It's often because they didn't play enough games. The rule was slightly different back then, wasn't it? Where you had to play
we have done some
amount.
already for goal players. I think of Adrian Heath, for instance, didn't get a medal.
Because of his injury in 85.
Yeah.
So we gave him the 85 medal.
That's right. We worked with the club to get that. You have to ask for permission from the football authorities to do it, and then I think we co-funded it with the club. Also, Ray Veal, the championship winner in 1963, and also Derek Temple, another player in the same year who didn't quite reach the criteria for a medal back then.
Yeah, no, Derek's always he's very gracious, isn't he?
Ray Veal lives in New Zealand. He was absolutely thrilled to receive his medal that was sent all that way to him. Derek Temple as well, who's a great friend of the society.
He is, and we're thinking, obviously we want to do a little bit more of that, but in conjunction with the former Everton Players Association, so we'll seek advice from them, and we'll drive forward on that front.
Absolutely, and on the topic of Derek Temple, he's the current holder of the Dixie Dean Award, which I'm sure Ken you can tell us more about, which was originally an Liverpool Echo Award.
It was. I think Dean died in 1980. Did he? Yes, and I can remember the day in the Echo when we said, we've really got to do something very special to remember him. I didn't think that day that all these decades on we'd still be recording the wonderful, amazing career of Dixie Dean, but we have, and that's a fantastic thing. What you have to do to win, to become...
It's like a lifetime achievement award almost, isn't it? It's an acknowledgement.
What it says on the trophy is for characters in the great tradition of Dean.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. I haven't had a good look at it.
So when you think about the last couple, we've had Seamus Coleman, perfect.
Certainly
in the great
well
tradition.
deserving, yeah.
And last time out, Derek Temple, and who can forget what he did in 1966? He must be able to walk down the street these days, even now, without people reminding him about.
Well, Evertonians, we regularly
goal.
spotted him on Goodison Road, but pre-match,
Always got time for people.
Always
got a word for them. He was a fitting final inductee before the move from Goodison.
A real gentleman as well.
His career goes back to 70 years. At Goodison, so he was absolutely the right choice.
And he joined us in the final weeks of Goodison and St Luke's, didn't he? And he was doing photographs in St Luke's with the FA Cup. So he turned up looking so smart, didn't he? So in his dapper suit, and spotted him a mile off down the street.
When we were looking for special guests to come and support him on his most recent Dixie Dean, award-winning night, we asked our manager if he would come along. David
what an honour that was. Yeah,
and obviously
night.
He was very busy. It was coming up to the pre-season. There was potential for him to go away and look at some games, in Europe at that point. And as soon as we mentioned Derek, he wanted to come. And it was also in the last week at Goodison, actually, or near one of the last weeks at Goodison.
I think it was pretty much the last event held at Goodison, wasn't it, that night? I think it was only two games left.
Brilliantly that night as what it's like to be Everton manager.
It's a great honour to have him, wasn't it? Yeah, really generous of him to turn up, but a worthy recipient and understandable why he would make the time and effort to come and join us. Another project I think would bring us on to one of your latest projects, Rob, which is the Gravestone restoration and grave rededications. I've got a list here of 12 that have been done already. Some of those names include Alex Sandy Young, Will Cuff, George Harrison, Jeremiah Kelly, Alec Brady, as well as Andrew Hanna, who was captain of our first league championship winning team of 1891. And more recently we've done Thomas Keats and George Farmer as well. But as I say, your current ongoing project, Rob, is the restoration of Bobby Parker. Could you tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, I mean, those projects have been led by various members of the society, most recently Jamie Yates with the George Farmer and the Thomas Keats. And it's very much about recognising significant figures in the club, maybe not always the most famous people when you look at the club's history, but people who have made a real contribution, who for various reasons their sort of graves have fallen into disrepair, maybe even never had a headstone, and it's the Heritage Society members researching their story and doing something about it. And the latest one is Bobby Parker. He was a Glaswegian lad, came down from Glasgow Rangers, and he scored the goals in 1914-15 season that basically won the league for Everton, only our second Football League title at the time. He got, I think, about 35 goals. Only 2 other players have scored more league goals in a season for the Blues than Bobby. Sadly, he got injured in the war, First World War, never quite the same player. He played on for Nottingham Forest, back up in Scotland, managed in Ireland with Bohemians, but then suffered with significant illness in the last 20 years. And there's a lovely tale that actually the club, without any fanfare, gave him a sort of pension every month. Actually, with, didn't tell anybody, just the directors. When they heard of his condition, multiple sclerosis, they gave him a sort of monthly pension right until he died in 1950. So he's buried in Glasgow. There is a headstone. It's fallen into disrepair. So we've asked supporters to chip in through a crowdfunder, a GoFundMe, to help contribute to getting that repaired. Part 1 is already taking place. The headstone is being re-erected this week.
Okay, fantastic.
And then we want to create an extra headstone that will actually list his achievements with Everton, but also with his,
so like a second headstone alongside.
Yeah, a small headstone to go on the plot that will say, who he played for, what he achieved, and also his military service.
It's right that he was buried with family as well, isn't it? So
yeah,
that's why you've already got
in there.
So we have to check with the family members. I think the very first one of these we did was for the Reverend Ben Chambers, and if fans who don't know that name, lock it in your mind, because he was the minister at St Domingo's Methodist Church.
Wow, right, okay.
And Peter Lupson, one of our members, realised that his gravestone would fall into disrepair. So the man who was in on the birth of big-time football in this city, the Heritage Society put that right, thanks to Peter Lupson as well.
I didn't realise that. That's news to me as well. I didn't know that was the first one. It seems like a fitting place to start, doesn't it? And fantastic. So what kind of work goes into actually to getting that done? I mean, obviously you mentioned your crowdfunder there as well, which of course we'll put the links in the bios and push people to those.
To locate the grave, which isn't always as straightforward as you think. As Ken alluded to, you've got to get the family on board. So Bobby, for example, didn't have any children, but we've traced some great nephews and nieces who have obviously given their full blessing and are very excited. In fact, one of the family is a football journalist, Catherine Batty, so she's delighted to find out about her illustrious ancestor. So the family are on board, and then it's just arranging with getting a stonemason, the designs, and then once it's all done, arranging, actually getting an event, a commemorative event, so getting the right people together. So a lot of organisation.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Quite a cost as well. Hence, on this occasion, we're doing this GoFundMe. Just to bring it to fruition.
So there's obviously Anfield Cemetery. We've got a tremendous number of former players buried in there. But we've been as far as Glasgow. We've been as far into Yorkshire. So it's been a fascinating exercise. But the great thing for me is we've been remembering things who were part of the real history of our club. Yeah. Some, our first England captain, those kind of people. Yeah. Who'd been forgotten in the mists of time.
Yeah, it's excellent work that you do, honestly, and I think it's one of the most kind of commendable parts of the Society's work that sometimes goes a little bit unnoticed when people just see the match day presence and they don't realise how much work's going in the background to make things happen. So, like I say, we will make sure those links go out there, and hopefully we're quite close to achieving the target, the funding. I think
two-thirds of the way there for the target we've set.
Hopefully we'll give that a little push. Now, another thing that I'd quite like to do as a regular kind of feature here on the Everton Heritage Show is a feature on our match day programme. Now, as both of you guys will know well, every single match day we have a page in the match programme. Now I'm hoping from time to time that the author of each page will come in on each match day and join us and tell us a little bit more in depth. Little more in depth than the 500 words, I think, is the limit in the programme page. Now, David Prentice wrote this week's programme article, but of course he's very much occupied on match days, isn't he? So he can't be here with us. But the article he's written, I think, is absolutely brilliant, and it's the story of Z-Car's fall in silence. Rob, you know the story a little, don't you? I think.
Well,
give us an
obviously
insight.
Z-Cars is indelibly linked now with the Toffees, the match day experience, that sort of drum and pipe music as the players come out of the tunnel, and it goes back to 1962 when this groundbreaking sort of police drama was first aired on BBC, set in a fictional town, Newtown, which was basically Kirby, just down the road. So quite a realistic, gritty police drama. But the theme tune, very quickly in 1962, caught the public imagination. It was based on the Johnny Todd folk song, but rearranged. A number of artists quickly recorded it as singles, and one of them was by Johnny Keating's band, and that became a sort of a chart hit. And at some point in 1962, the resident disc jockey in Goodison Park must have spun it before a game, and that was the beginning of that tradition of Z-Cars being played.
And it was every game then, wasn't it? Almost every game.
Almost every game, until some changes in the mid-90s. Obviously, we had a new chairman, a new owner coming in after the passing of John Moores and Mr.
Who didn't
Johnson.
quite grasp the history and heritage of the club, I should say.
Now, I was only about... so this happened in 94, this particular incident. I don't know if I'll make you feel older. I was only 3. So I don't remember this particular incident happening, but it as you say, it fell silent. The players walked out without Z-Cars. I believe that the fans were pretty baffled. No announcements. Nobody was warned.
Absolutely.
But they did play something else.
Yeah, I mean, Z-Cars was part of the drum beat of your match day experience, and then suddenly when you don't hear that just before the players come out, must have been mystifying. But as we say, Peter Johnston had come in, and to be fair, he had some ideas trying to freshen up the club. It did need it. One of which we were just chatting before about. There was the short-lived mascot called Dixie.
Dixie, yeah.
It was a kind of foam character walking around the pitch.
Fans went crazy.
I don't remember Dixie. Was he a fan favourite or
big giant foam?
Yeah, didn't last long with a baseball cap.
I don't even think I've seen pictures of that. I'd love to see that.
I will send you later.
Yeah, thank you. I'll drop that in.
But the other idea was to shake up the music before the game. So he basically had a bit of a competition to see what a new set of entrance music for the club. And I think there were 2. There was the famous music that you hear in 2001, Space Odyssey.
Just what we needed.
Surreal, that, isn't it? I don't think that's what was expected. You said that so casually, like, that film theme tune.
Worked in the film, not so much maybe at Goodison. And the other idea was to get some... it was actually a Swedish Toffees supporters group rewrote, I think, the Creedence Clearwater Revival song, Bad Moon Rising. Yeah.
Right.
And so with new lyrics, and they came out to that, and to not a great deal of enthusiasm.
But we played Watford, did we, in the 1984 FA Cup final?
We
and
did.
what happened there? They stole Z-Cars, or tried to.
I've always wondered about this.
It, do they?
Yeah, they did. They dropped it for a while, but I think they brought it back. Several clubs played it.
They definitely use it now.
I think Workington's another club that play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've always wondered that about Watford. Yeah. Do you know, in fact, that just jogged a memory off the cuff here. That we opened the season against Watford it was just before COVID, opening day. And considering both teams walk out to Z-Cars, both teams got it wrong that day and came out just as it started. And so the crowd kind of didn't know what to do on that day. And I was
it's all about the timing.
I was fuming.
I think what's tremendous really though is that of all the clubs in this country, it doesn't matter if you're a big club, a small club, the terms of that lead in, those songs that we have leading into every game now, and is just a wonderful thing. It's really inspiring, and it does make you stand up and
Oh, it does. It really gets you going. I love the addition of the siren.
As soon as that air raid siren goes,
it's fantastic.
When that went for the last time at Goodison, I got quite emotional. And when it was for the first time here, I got equally
goodness
emotional.
me, I think that's almost a perfect segue into kind of the modern day history here. Is that I mean, I unfortunately missed the Southampton game last season, but I was there for the Ipswich game, and of course the 1878 with all the flags and the ticker tape falling, 100%. And when that siren went off and Z cars went, and I was bawling my eyes out. It was absolutely fantastic, I thought. But it is the song, it's the music that really touches you and gets you, like, really hits you hard. And then, of course, moving then on to the Hill Dickinson Stadium, I think a lot of us were quite worried, weren't we, in terms of whether we lose a particular atmosphere. And it's good that we move forward, and we all want progress in that sense. Yeah. But I think the first time we heard that siren go off and heard Z cars against Brighton a few weeks ago, to really, do you know, it was the first time I've ever noticed that there's a bass line to Z cars with those new speakers, but it's noisy in there, isn't it? But I get it was another one to get the tears flowing, wasn't it? It's been absolutely incredible. So what do you make of this kind of this new era? As we say, we're all about history and all about heritage, and we talk so much about the past and how much work we've done and how far the club's come, but we're writing history now, aren't we?
Yeah, we can't keep thinking about the past. And some, you get some football managers, they'll say we should never be thinking about our past. Well, of course we should. Goes without saying, particularly with our club.
Yeah, for me, the past sets the standards. So the successes of 69, 70, 84, 85, 62, 63, they set the bar that we should aspire to. But we as a club, as the fan base, we've got to write new histories so that in 30 years' time, when the Heritage Society is still going, still thriving, absolutely, we can be looking back on the great championship of 2030 when we won the Premier League. You
think it'll take 5 years?
I'm being, cautious.
You know what the most important thing is for me this season? At the end of the season, I want to be looking up. I don't want to be looking down.
Absolutely.
And so, we mightn't, winning. Are we going to win the Premier League? There's some big, there's some clubs who've spent mega billions, on players. But if we're looking up and not looking down again, for me that will be progress in a new stadium, because a lot of clubs move to a new stadium and they have a bit of a nightmare.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what you said. I went to the Roma game and it was fine, but you think, okay, is it going to work? And then the Brighton game, the atmosphere, you think, this is going to work.
And I was very conscious over the summer, for my own personal experience, whether I should go to the test events. I'd love to be there and be one of the first people in, and the curiosity always gets you, doesn't it? You always want to see it. But I decided not to do any of the test events. I just thought, when I go in there, I want to be amazed. I'm so sad that we've left Goodison, or the men's team have left Goodison, that I wanted to be I don't want to be underwhelmed by what we've got now. And so Brighton was my first game, and goodness me, it blew my socks off. That wall of noise is unbelievable. So I think we've got a good future ahead of us. We are. I think at the moment at least we're looking up, aren't we? And bring some good players in. The new owners back in the team.
To Ken's point, we might not be winning the league or not winning the league anytime soon, but we want to be looking up and we want to see some good football and some early encouraging signs.
Early signs.
And we're buying some young players, so we're clearly looking to the future as well. We've got a manager who's seen it all, and I'm very confident in him.
Absolutely, yeah. He seems to have. I feel like it's kind of it's David Moyes Mark II in a way, isn't it? He's not the same manager that he was when he left for Manchester United. I feel like he's learned a few lessons along the way and come around and. Bit more direction, not just, and he knows what the club's
he's steeped in Everton Football Club.
He knows the club so well, doesn't he? He knows what the fans want, and that kind of reflects in the signings as well, doesn't it? As you say, in the youngsters that have come in. I think we do have to acknowledge the fact that there is another massive club here on Merseyside, and this weekend Everton Women will go into Goodison Park for their first game. Again, more history being written. I'm delighted. I for one, I'm over the moon that we get to go back to Goodison Park and hear Z cars again and see an Everton team play at Goodison. What a historic weekend. We're still writing
what a
history.
double header. I mean, I'll be there tomorrow with my wife and one of my daughters. Really looking forward to it. Visiting, I haven't been back to Goodison since May, so really looking forward to seeing how it's been changed, ready for the women moving in. And we were chatting before and just saying how I think we're all dreading the final farewell to Goodison and the wrecking ball coming in, the bulldozers turning up almost after the last ball was kicked.
Absolutely.
So to get that news just as the men's season was coming to its end, that Goodison would get a new lease of life was amazing.
I was at a stadium tour the other night, and one of the things they were suggesting at Hill Dickinson, one of the things that was being suggested was that there would be like a twin stadium tour as we begin to move forward. So you'd come to the Hill Dickinson Stadium first of all, and then you'd get on a bus and you'd go to Goodison Park. And I think that would be an absolutely wonderful thing.
Absolutely,
and you could make that a sort of triple-way thing, because on the way up there they could stop at the tower that's on the heart of our badge.
Certainly
that
ambitious.
Really
it's a great thing to target, isn't it? And you talk about marketing and bringing people into the city and reflecting on what a great club we are and how the historic aspect of it. I mean, on that note, in terms of going to two in the same day, I have visions of both teams playing on the same day. You know, the women kicking off at 12 o'clock. We can go up there, have a nice afternoon at Goodison, and then we all march down the Goodison Road and get to Hill Dickinson and all watch the men in the evening.
Wow.
I think that you get a few drunk fans by the end of the day, but I think that's my dream. I want to see them both. I think that'd be a great day. Whether we're organised enough to do that, I'm not too sure. But I think it's worth noting as well, while we talk about this new history with the women and starting in 2025 at Goodison Park, Everton's history does go a long way back, and Goodison Park's history does go a long way back in the women's game, doesn't it? Yeah,
Goodison's got a very special place in the history of the women's game in this country. I think the first women's football played at Goodison was in the First World War, when you started to get these factory teams. Women were obviously working on the home front while the men were away fighting. So
and notably, sorry to interrupt you, but notably here, down at the docks, this is where they would have been working. You know, I think
munitions factories, all the different factories. And then just after the First World War, in 27th of December 1920, the sort of famous game between St Helens ladies and Dick Kerr ladies, two of the probably leading teams of the era. A crowd of around 46,000, with many more locked out. It was Boxing Day. I think people just thought, we'll go down, and were shocked by the sheer volume of people. And that particular match was the record attendance in a sort of domestic women's game until only just a few short years ago. Of course, women's football for about 50 years was held back by effectively a ban where you couldn't play women's football at a sort of football league, football association stadia. That ban only ended at the dawn of the 70s, and just over 10 years later we got the seeds of what we now call Everton Women, when a couple of clubs over on the Wirral merged, Dolphin five-a-side team and a local side, I think, in Bebington, and they became Hoylake, and then they became Liso, and then they became Liso Pacific, and they started to win everything before them in the regional leagues, and then they won the FA Cup at Old Trafford in 1989, and there's some great players in that. A certain Mo Mallon, who later became Mo Marley, who were one of the great figures in Everton Women's history.
Yeah, that's one name that really stands out to me. I think she's still on the scene, isn't she, with England? She's England coach.
She's done a lot of work with England. She's sort of semi-retired now, but I don't think Mo will ever fully retire. She's amazing. And then, sort of by 1995, we talked about Peter Johnson earlier when we were saying about the changes he made at the club, some good, some bad, but one of his probably most inspired things was to listen to an approach by Liso Pacific, and agreed to bring that team under the Everton brand. So in 1995, Liso Pacific became Everton Ladies, and that was really the start of that, the next great chapter in the women's team. They moved to Crosby, so they moved over the water, had a good number of years at Marines Ground, and then they've kind of had that nomadic existence, played in Widnes, played in Southport, and of course for the past 5 years at Walton Hall Park, just down the road from Goodison. But full credit to the Freakin Group, they've started to think, right, Walton Hall Park isn't really suitable long term. Where can the women play? And
people were talking about Walton Hall Park being our new stadium, best site for our new stadium at one stage.
Good point. I forgot about that.
So they've been playing there, and now they're playing in a proper stadium.
Exactly. And I think before we move on from Mo Marley in particular, she was responsible for bringing in quite a few names, wasn't she? I think a lot of course, with the success of the Lionesses in recent years, and of course women's football being broadcast on television a lot more, we've had a lot more former players and female pundits and correspondents appearing on television. I don't think not a lot of people realise that most of these experts are Everton players, aren't they, on the television?
So many links to Everton over the years, and a lot of that down to Mo Marley. Mo took over as manager in the early 2000s, ironically from her husband Keith, who had been the manager for a couple of years after Billy Jackson, the first manager. And Mo was, I wouldn't say she was like David Moyes, but again, Everton were punching above their weight. There was the likes of Arsenal who had the money, but Mo was all about, as manager, was all about those incremental gains, spotting these players from around the country, Jill Scott, Lucy Bronze, Jodie Hanley, and many more players recently who would go on to become internationals and often, sadly, then move on to other clubs because...
Chloe Kelly, of course, she's the superstar at the minute, isn't she?
Obviously, who featured, obviously, Lucy Bronze was in the Euros recently. So Everton have done so much to contribute to the international stage, but sadly, just like the men's team, because we have been relatively starved of money in recent years, we haven't had so many current internationals. So it's great to see the Friedkin Group not only investing in the move to Goodison Park for the women, but also, we start to see, I think, is it 9 new arrivals over the summer?
Yeah.
So they're clearly investing.
9 each, 9 for the men, 9 for the women.
Which is great. So again, optimism for the men's team in their new venue, but also, great optimism for the women as the new fitting occupants of Goodison Park.
Absolutely. So I hope everyone has a good day tomorrow. Well, I say tomorrow, this will be going out next week, won't it? It will have already happened. No matter what the results may be, I think it's going to be a fantastic day. I'm certainly really looking forward to it, and being a part of it. I know my friend's little daughter's going to be the first mascot as well, so I'm going to get to watch her lead the first ever team out. So I'm very excited. I'm going to cry my eyes out either way, whether it's Z Cars or the little mascots. I'm going to really enjoy myself.
It's not Creedence Clearwater Revival. Just one other thing on the women, the Heritage Society has been actively involved with the football club on a Hall of Fame for the Everton Women, which,
of course,
spoiler, it should be announced any day soon.
That's going to happen.
With the first few inductees will be announced, and we're delighted to have got over the line with the club and sort of recognising the trailblazers, so not maybe so much some of the recent players, but the people who laid the foundations for what is now Everton Women.
Yeah. Fantastic, yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that develops, and hopefully we'll have a fair few more legends in the women's team, and of course maybe a few statues going up outside Hill Dickinson here for the men's game. So I think we can tell time's getting on. It's near kick-off, innit? We're going to miss the game here, so we best wrap things up. Thank you. Get your coat on. It's pouring down out there.
It's raining today.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Here we go, the first ever Everton Heritage Show. I feel like it's gone very well. Looking forward to doing it again.
And just full credit to the guy, for my first time here in the Blue House in the Heritage Centre. I know a lot of the members, some particular ones though, have put in so much time and effort to get this over the line and be open today. So
absolutely. There's definitely a lot of thank yous to go out there, and we're all very gracious. So. Here we go. Here's to the new era. Thank you, guys. Pleasure to have you here, and we'll see you soon on the next episode. Thank you very much for joining us. As this is the first episode, there is quite a bit of housekeeping to be done and news to update you guys on. All you loyal listeners who've been here for 100% of our content so far. So first of all, huge thanks to everybody who is tuning in and to watch or listen to our first show. You can find pretty much everything that we do as a society over on our website, which is efcheritagosociety.com. So make sure you give that a visit. It is a real rabbit hole. There is an astonishing amount of information on there if you want to know about the history of Everton FC. Please make sure you give all of our content some engagement wherever you see it. The way the internet works these days is that things will only succeed if the public interact with it and show their appreciation. And of course, we're starting from scratch here where we've got no followers and no likes and subscribers. So get involved, give us that push and really feed that algorithm. That'll do us the world of good. Go and click, follow, subscribe everywhere that you see the Everton Heritage Show. Click the little bell on YouTube as well, which will notify you whenever we upload a new video. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere that you get your podcasts, and social media as well. You'll find us if you search for Everton Heritage, the Everton Heritage Show, and of course the Everton Heritage Society as well. Do give that a search on YouTube. There's some great documentaries there. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to be releasing loads of society documentaries on the history of the club. We've made loads over the last couple of years, and we're going to make a push to put way more of those out as well. I'm hoping that we'll soon be on Patreon as well, which is a platform where you can help support the work that we do here. Everything we broadcast is all free, and it's going to stay that way. Now, whether that's podcasts or documentaries, we want to help. We want you to help support us, basically. And if you do want to help support us, you can donate from as little as £3 a month, which of course that'll go towards funding the media side of things and helping us keep the platform free. We don't want any of our educational stuff hidden behind paywalls, so that would be really helpful. I'll put links in the bios and in the descriptions wherever you find them. I mean, it's less than a cup of coffee, isn't it? So please do consider that. We are going to work on some rewards as well for those of you who give us some financial help along the way. There'll be a bunch of relevant links in the description below, including the fundraising link for the Bobby Parker Grave Restoration Fund. So please go and give them a bit of support. At least click on it. And do us a favour, share this stuff with your mates. Send it to your WhatsApp groups. Send it in Instagram. Share the reels, like, comment, subscribe. We're trying to reach Blues all over the world here. So if everybody passes it to a mate, I'm sure we'll get the word going around in no time. And things like the money for the fundraisers can find its way to good causes. Finally, a really big thank you to those who've helped put this show together, who I will mention personally today, as it is quite a special occasion with it being episode 1. So first and foremost to my dad, Mike Royden, who I've always bounced ideas off, but particularly over the last couple of years about this. John Blaine, his advice on getting started was appreciated. My good friends Carl and Steve from the Have a Word Studios, who helped me get my head around some equipment. Our sound tech Kieran, behind the cameras, always reliable. We've got Reg and Richie here in the room with us, and everybody here who's helped secure us a new home in the post St Luke's era. My brother Liam for sorting us out that great musical riff that you've been hearing. Gaz Jones for all his fundraising, without which this equipment in front of me wouldn't be here. We really appreciate that. Jess for all your constant help and support. Mr. David France for the encouragement, and Jamie Yates, Paul McParland, Tony Wainwright, Fran Hickey and Mike Gow, all for the help and the belief along the way. And last but certainly not least, our guests today, Ken Rogers and Rob Sawyer, who I'm sure you'll be seeing plenty more of very soon, as you can tell. They've got a lot of knowledge in them. So thanks to those guys for coming in. I hope they didn't miss kickoff. I did keep them around a little long earlier, didn't I? So thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time. Up the Toffees.
Heritage.